Hi, welcome to Eyes on the Word. I'm here with renowned author, Evie Rhodes. How are you today?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good. Let me just say it's a pleasure to have you here with us.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Okay, for those who don't know, can you share a little bit about some of your works and how you come up with such visual visions?
You know, Ashley, it's not something that was it wasn't planned. It is really a creative source that is just something that really literally flows from my pen when I write. When I first began writing, everything that I wrote took a certain slant. When I was doing gospel hip hop and I was songwriting and writing music videos, it always took a certain slant. And it just moved over to me becoming a novelist. When I became a novelist, it was the same thing. You know, I started writing the story and creating and laying out the formats. And once I do that, it just kind of takes its own life and it always moves to a certain slant. And that's how I came up with the religious thrillers. You know, it's just, it's kind of innate.
What does gospel hip hop mean to you?
To me, gospel hip hop means bringing through the word into contemporary times, the biblical word, bringing it into contemporary times, into today's lifestyle, with the message of the gospel, but into the lifestyle that we're all living today. Okay. To me, it's the way I see it, Ashley, it is really just a very simple and powerful stream because it all has to do with people. You know what I mean? And it's just a matter of emergence, of bringing those two areas together and bringing through a message and something that needs to be said in correlation with people's lives today, because people need to be more empowered. We're living in very difficult times.
You produced the video Change, correct?
Yes.
People had a great response about that video. You got back a lot of great feedback. It was, some would call it unforgettable. How does that make you feel?
It made me feel good. It really did. I can't say that I anticipated a lot of the responses, you know, because when you're creating, you're just kind of in the vision. And so, you know, all you see is what that vision is and what you want to put across. When I saw people's reaction, because change was a sort of metamorphosis, it was about people having the ability to change no matter what their circumstances were or what aspect of life they came from. And I don't think, even though I felt it, and it looked like it connected with people once it came across on screen, but I don't think I thought about the sheer power of that in producing it, that people would connect into that power and that they could feel that because they're having metamorphosis and changes in their own lives. So the way people connected to it was really a blessing.
Down deep in my belly, my story spews. Here's a headline, just like the evening news. One day I awoke, I was never the same. I found out that my life had changed. Down deep in my spirit and in my soul, a newness had taken a hold. And when I looked for the old me, I found that it just ceased to be. Changed from head to toe. I wasn't changed by enemy or foe, but by the spirit who would not let go. Changed by the hour. Changed by the Lord's power. Changed, I built his tower. Changed, his words rained down the showers and touched my soul with all their power. Changed, it looked like me. Changed, glory be. Changed, all that remained was a shell. Jesus Christ said, change that inside hell.
All right, now recently you had your novel Street Vengeance was viewed by a world-renowned library journal, correct?
Yes.
Okay, now it was, I quote here, it was called uncompromisingly graphic. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I think, you know, when I write, my whole thing is to make you live that while you're in the moment and to also have you take it away with you.
Okay.
And I think Library Journal was probably alluding to that when talking about the graphics and the way the story's actually put across. It's very important to me as a writer that if you enter my world, then my job is to keep you there. When you leave the world that I created, my job is for you to take a piece of that with you. And I try to make certain that that comes across in the writing.
With Street Vengeance, it was a little bit of a difficult process. The writing process for me is not difficult in itself. It was difficult because of the different struggles in the story, because the characters have you know, so many different aspects that they're looking at, and I guess it was painful because they have a lot of pain. And so when you're a writer, at least for myself, I become involved in this world, and after a while, those characters, it's almost like breathing life into them. They become their own people, and they start to speak to you. And I happen to be a person that's very sensitive of spirit. A lot of you who know me personally kind of know that. And so, I end up absorbing a lot of the things that are in the book as though it's very real, and living that story from beginning to end and until it's over. And actually, I'm still living with street vengeance because I can see different pieces and reflections of it every day in life. So the pain of the story, I think, and wishing that some things were different or better, or that, I had some magic wand that I could wave around and cure all of these ills and the many that we have, has been probably the most difficult part of the process. But other than that, it pretty much flowed. I pretty much had an idea of what I wanted to say.
The thing about her books is, like, you become very engaged in the story, and you get so caught up you can't put it down. So I think Evie's writing will hook you in, and then you're up late at night and you have to see how everything ends. So I can't wait to read these. I mean, it's summertime. I've got 3 books here, and they go really fast as well. So they're the type of stories that you get engaged with, but you could read them pretty quickly as well. And they're fascinating and interesting and thought-provoking. I think they're great books.
Expired. That's my favorite book. That is absolutely my favorite book. I love that Evie plays off of the good versus evil in the inner city setting.
You're a powerful writer. You've written everything from scripts to novels, newspaper articles, columns. How do you do something like that? How do you create all of those things?
Well, Ashley, my vision for the thrillers are just that, I like to tell stories about human nature and the human spirit. And I like to test the human spirit. I like to know what people are made of. The thriller format in terms of literature is a very, very wide and broad spectrum. And in that spectrum, there are just so many different things that you can do. And testing the human spirit and testing what people are made of, and pushing the characters to their limits are something that I really enjoy doing, which is why I really, really like the thrillers. It also gives me a foundation of testing good and evil, which is something that all mankind deals with. We have from the beginning of time, and we do now as well.
Do you feel like other gospel artists that you read before you did the same thing?
No. It doesn't appear that there's anyone who has done it quite the way that I'm doing it. At least that's what all the research and stuff tells me.
Change, look at me, change, a glory be, change, can't you see, change, a brand new me, change, a new spirit I hold, change, new thoughts unfold, change, in my very soul, change, I'm on a Holy Ghost roll, change, look at me, change, the Lord set me free, born again, made a brand new me, born again, made a brand new me.
You also have your hip-hop album, Standing in the Spirit. Not only that, you're the first African-American to write gospel thrillers. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you come about doing something like that?
When I started out doing the Standing in the Spirit album, I started that because I used to rap a cappella on the streets of New York. And that just led into, doing the album. I always had a love for hip-hop, just an innate love for that. I like the power of hip-hop. And hip-hop always had, the original roots of hip-hop was based in messages and bringing messages into the community. So for me, it was the perfect correlation. And that's how I ended up doing the Standing in the Spirit album. I just moved from a cappella into the studio and brought those messages, again, into the community through the Standing in the Spirit album. When I started doing the novels, I just needed a larger landscape in which to write than what I was getting in the music videos and on the album. And so becoming a novelist was a natural gravitation for me. I like thrillers because thrillers are fast-paced. I write fast-paced stories. I like the form. I like the basics that it gives me. And it gives me a lot of connotation to explore the human spirit. And also put those two pieces, the good and the evils and stuff together. And that's primarily why I write religious thrillers.
Okay. You've been covered by so many different magazines, including Today's Black Woman. I am one of those.
Yes, you are.
Thank you. You are too. They called your work undefined. Okay. They also touched on the fact that you always keep your spirituality there. How do you feel
Yes.
about that?
A lot of people ask that question, the spirituality, and again, it's the roots. It's the root of what I do.
I think all of Evie's books play on her Christian background. There is a definite good versus evil, but good will always triumph. And I think that that's so important in urban fiction.
Now, Patrick Adams produced the track Stand. You and James Rhodes co-produced and produced the video for Stand and Change. How was that?
It was a good experience, it really was. Patrick has done, a lot of music, and so he came to the table and to this project with a lot of experience. At that time, I was running around with my little lyric sheet, from being on the streets of New York doing the a cappella thing that we talked about earlier. So, it was a really great experience because I was very raw. And, so to get those people together and get that particular energy and the creativeness that it took to get into a project like that, and then to get to the pieces of the visuals, which Doug Ingber for Video City did the directing piece of it. In order to bring those pieces together with that kind of talent, it was just an awesome project.
An African American point of view went on record about your novel, The Forgotten Spirit. Now, they said that they compared it to Charles Dickens' The Christmas Carol.
Yes.
Now, how does that make you feel? Does that make you feel like you've merged the African American community with the Christian community, that you made just everything one? I mean...
Yeah, I think it does. I think it is going to all be one, and it just, gave me the idea of having created a classic that was really, very, very much needed. The African American community in particular, they need their own classic for Christmas Story, and they didn't have one. And so for, a publication to recognize that aspect of the work, the importance of it on that scale was very important.
Any last words for our viewers, Evie?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'd like to thank you so much for joining us here on Eyes on the Word.
You're welcome.
For the Holy Ghost.